What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Tim, back with another video. And in this video, I wanted to talk about the magic of doing nothing. Now, this video topic popped in my head because I've noticed over the past few weeks or so that I've kind of had like this real peace and this real calm come over me. I've been a lot more just like happy and joyful. And I've just been finding myself in situations where normally maybe it would throw me into like, extreme anxiety, or I would start worrying or get me really down. But these days I've just kind of been like, okay. One of the things I say to myself a lot is, that's just the nature of the thing. That's just the way it is. These things happen. And I've really been surprising myself at like the level of peace I've had. And now I do, attribute some of this to my meditation regimen that I finally kind of got down to where I'm doing it pretty much every day for between 30 minutes and an hour. This morning I did it 45 minutes. I've been doing a lot of traveling, which always helps my mental state. Been on the road pretty much for the last 2 months now. It's December now, so for the last 2 months, also been listening to a lot of audiobooks, a lot of talks. I found Mel Robbins recently. So, she's like my new favorite speaker, motivator, life coach, whatever you want to call her. Always been a big fan of Alan Watts, always consumed a lot of his content. Osho, Sadhguru, a lot of people. But there's something new I've kind of been doing a lot more of lately. And I think it really has just been that extra ingredient that's really helped bring me to the state I'm at now. And that's that I've been doing nothing. I've been spending a lot of time doing nothing. And more importantly, I've been spending a lot of time doing nothing in nature. Okay? And I've just recently realized how important this is. Now, although a lot of people will say, well, doing nothing, that's boring. But I realized something. Most of the time when we say we're bored, like we're indoors. You ever thought about this? Most of the time when we say we're when we say we're bored, it's when we're indoors. See, we as humans, we build these boxes and then we lock ourselves in these boxes all day long. And then, we have the internet, and we have, we have computers, and we have cell phones now. So we can bring the world kind of into these boxes with us. But we lock ourselves in these boxes and then we wonder why we're bored. No other species does this. If you think about it, most other mammals or animals, if they ever lock themselves away, it's because they're sick. You'll notice animals will do this. If they get sick, they'll go away, they'll hide till they get better or they die. No other animal locks itself away when it's healthy, when it's doing well. But we as humans do this, and then we get inside our houses, our apartments, these boxes we lock ourselves in, and then we wonder why we get bored. Because it's not our natural state to be indoors, I don't believe. If you look back at our early ancestors, if they were ever indoors, it was like they were like eating, or it was like a community thing. Everybody was inside because the weather was bad, or everybody went inside and like they were sitting around and eating or having family time or sharing stories or having like a council meeting. Other than that, people was outside. We, however, feel the need to always be inside. And if we are outside, typically we're doing something. If we are outside, we're going somewhere, we're coming back from somewhere, we're doing something we deem important. Very rarely do we go outside, do we go out in nature and just do nothing. But once again, if you look back at our early ancestors, they did a lot of that. They took walks. They sat outside and just observed what was going on. They might hop horseback. Once they got horses, they might hop on the horse and just go around. Like our early ancestors just did a lot of like being outside, being in nature, just like living, just experiencing being part of nature. And I think this is something that's missing from like our modern lives. And I know here recently, one of the things that's really been helping me is that I've been doing a lot of like what I'm doing today. I just came to this nice lake here. And I'm just walking around. Now, a lot of people would say, Tim, you're wasting time. You could be doing something with that time. I am doing something. Even though I'm doing nothing by human standards, I am doing something. By like universal standards. By like nature standards. I'm experiencing this beautiful scenery. I'm observing the birds. I'm observing the water. I'm observing the wind. I'm observing the trees. I reached down earlier, just picked up some dirt, played with some dirt. I put my hands in the water. I picked up a piece of tree bark and just kind of rubbed my hands on it. I threw it into the water. It made this sound that I didn't even know was going to happen. I threw the tree bark in the water and it said bloop, and I just started laughing. It was like the best sound ever. I was like, I love that sound. I'm telling you folks, I'm getting there, okay? I'm getting there. Just by being able to spend more time just out in nature, just doing nothing. There's really no objective. I'm just being. I just am. It just is. Think about this too. You ever notice how like older people spend a lot of time just sitting, watching? You know, like your grandma could sit on the porch in a rocking chair and just stare out at like the neighborhood or you know, the backyard or wherever, endlessly. And we always thought, you know, when we're younger, oh, this is just because they ain't got nothing else going on because they old. But nah, older people have wisdom. They realize that's where it's at. Being outdoors, just observing. They've gotten to the point where they realize all this ripping and running around don't get us nowhere. Now, we're programmed to believe you have to be doing something to be a useful member of society. Tim, you can't just be outdoors sitting around watching stuff, observing the animals and the wind. That's crazy. You got to be doing something. I know there's a lot of people like, Tim, you could be taking that time, working on your YouTube channel, writing your book, doing all this other stuff, getting your podcast going. You could be doing something that can make you money. Want to add too, as something very big in our society these days is we feel like you have to be doing something at all times, or most of the time. People will give you the weekends. Yeah, you can sit around on the weekends and do nothing. Or, you know, one day on the weekend, you can sit around and watch a little sports, but if you try to just as much as possible do nothing, or as much as possible do things that aren't making no money, people don't get it. You could be spending that time making money. Once you realize that, like, A, money isn't real, and B, money is just like something you get in exchange for your time and energy, or basically your energy, so that you can buy goods and services. You start to realize it's not the be-all and end-all. If you're eating, if you got a roof over your head, if you're okay, that's what's important. That's what's important. Once you start thinking more about what you need to live, what you need to survive, I've done other videos on this. But once you realize that, you stop feeling like you have to make money all the time. And you'll notice, a lot of times it's the people who don't have this desire to always be doing something that makes them money who seem to always be okay. They seem to always have the money for the things they need. Or someone comes along and helps them out. I think this ties in with an abundance mindset. Once you realize the universe is abundant, and you spend time in nature and you notice the birds, like the scriptures say, the birds don't work, the trees don't work, the snakes don't work, you know what I mean? But they're all good. We're the same. Humans, for some reason, we think we're so different, and you know, we don't have anything to learn from nature, even though we are a part of nature. Even though we are a part of nature, we just feel like, you know, we're so different and we have to work a certain way. Trust me, I know. Every time I make a video like this, people say, Tim, it sounds good, but that ain't the way the world is. That's the way the world is for me. Because I realize that, like, I'm a lot more joyful and happy and a lot less stressed living like this. And keep in mind, this lifestyle I've been living lately is way more stressful than when I, had a home base, Bozeman, very cheap rent. Everything, all the stuff I needed was right there in town. Not a lot of stress. This lifestyle of traveling around and living in Airbnbs and hotels and going different states and road tripping, even though I love it, very stressful. Very stressful. There's always something coming up, always something new. And that's part of it that I love. It's a new experience every single day, but it's very stressful. But I've realized I haven't really been bothered because, like, I've been doing lots of things to help me stay at peace. But also, I've just been spending a lot of time walking around, being in nature. I'm really starting to feel more at one with nature. And when you get there, all that other stuff doesn't bother you as much. This is what I'm trying to tell people. All that other stuff doesn't bother you as much. I was a lot more bothered when I was working, 5-6 days a week, doing as much OT as I could, trying to rack up as much money as I could. I was a lot more stressed, a lot more bothered. I wasn't happy. When I was making way more money and doing a lot more and always go, 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 I should have been happier, right? I was accomplishing something. I was being a productive member of society. Wasn't happy. These days, I do very little. And I'm a lot happier. Not to mention, it takes a lot less to make me happy. The sound of a piece of bark going in the water tickled me pink. You know what I had to go through in years past to get happy? I had to get drunk. I had to go out. I had to party. I had to meet some females. Like, it took a lot to make me happy. It took a lot to be happy. These days, just watching the wind blow. Wonderful. I love it. I love it. And if you're somebody who's watching this and you're like, I don't know, Tim, that seems like you going down this real spiritual, hippie road. Maybe I am. Maybe I am. But all I know is that this whole doing nothing, this whole just like existing, this whole just like experiencing the world, this getting away from, buildings and roads and man-made stuff as much as possible, just getting away from staring at screens. Something happened to me yesterday that really made me say, to really, iron this point home. So I've been doing a lot of driving recently. And when I'm not driving, I realize I'm usually on my computer or on my phone if I'm not out in nature. When I'm not doing this type of stuff, I have been doing a lot of driving because I was road tripping. And then a lot of times when I'm in my motels or my Airbnbs, I'm on, my phone. I'm on some type of screen. So a byproduct of that, because I've been wearing my glasses when I'm driving, been taking them off when I wasn't. Byproduct of that is my eyes been acting a little weird. And I think I just strained them because I went from if you do a lot of driving, you do a lot of staring at screens, it can sometimes strain your eyes. And I just have been doing more than that when I've been road tripping and things of that nature than usual. For instance, even like a 2-3 hour live stream. That's 2-3 hours staring at a screen. So here recently I said, Tim, we're going to take some days and not, really be on these screens. We're not driving right now. We're stationary for a little bit. I said, we're going to take some time and not being on these screens. So we've been doing a lot more of like this. But when I'm in my room, when I go back to my hotel or go back to my Airbnb, I realize I ain't got nothing else to do but stare at screens. I'll be like, I'll put my phone down. I don't want to be staring at these screens. 30 minutes later, I look up, I'm on my laptop staring at a screen. Close the laptop, I don't want to be staring at these screens. 30 minutes later, I look up, I'm staring at, my other phone. You know what I mean? It's just, I realize I'm I really don't, do much indoors. It was sad. It was Tim, find something else to do indoors other than stare at these screens. And I'm like, what is there to do? And that's when I was like, you know what? This is crazy. Get back out there and do more of that outdoor stuff because that's bringing you peace. That's bringing you happiness. And you don't have to have something to do. Indoors, I'm always trying to find something to do. What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? I don't want to get bored. I got to be doing something. It's when I go out in nature, I don't have to be doing anything. Just take a walk. Just observe the animals. Look at the sun, not directly at the sun. Just watch the wind, the trees. Listen to the sound your feet makes when you're walking. It's just this whole different world. And it really has started to help me. And that's my message for today, folks. I know some people aren't extreme nature lovers like me, but especially if you're in the city, find you a park, find you a lake, get outside and just take an hour and do nothing. Just walk around. You don't have to have your earbuds in, listening to music. You can if you want to. There's no rules. But just take some time and do nothing. Take some time and do some things that don't bring you any money, or that there's no benefit from other than what it might do to you, like spiritually, mentally. Take some time and just exist. Take some time and just be. And I promise you, you'll start to see changes.